We're about to talk a lot about these new concepts, and we got to make sure that we get them straight. So really, we're not making anything that pretty today. We're just going to talk about what a layer is and what a mask is, and make sure we know what the difference is and how to use them. Okay, because we're going to see that in all of our future projects, pretty much. Okay, right now I have a background. Oh, so gosh, I have a layer called background. Normally, that's all we really mess with, unless we copy something and paste it, and then we get a layer for a second, but there's anchors in it. Anyway, we normally just have one layer. If you don't know how to get the layers, you might see a stack of papers somewhere in one of your tool things. It might be over on the right side of the screen, depending on how you're docked. You are free to change your docks however you want to. But a quick way to get there, whether you have it or not, is Command L. Okay, Control L on Windows or Linux. All right. So layers. If you want to get back to your tools, you might see it right there, or you might need to double click on whatever tool you're using. Want to, and it'll get you back to that window, and Command L gets you back to. I'll stop talking about that. Okay. So I have a layer called background. Go ahead and find a texture, okay, and drop it in your background layer, all right? And what you need to do today is just make a new layer at the bottom. You can go to that, okay? You can also go to the layer menu and new, okay? If you like menus, use that, okay? If you like shortcuts, use Shift Command N, okay? Anyway, when I make a new layer, it needs a name, so I'll call mine the new layer or something like that. Okay, so it's up to you what you want to call it. Fill in with, says transparency. Let's leave it with that for now. We'll talk a little bit more about transparency in the next few days. But you can fill it with other stuff. So why that's useful, I can't really get into quite yet. All right, ignore this stuff. Make sure it's visible and make sure everything else is not checked. See, okay. All right, so I have something called a new layer, and my picture doesn't look any different. Not cool. Shift Command J real quick. Yeah, it's exactly the same. Well, that's because it's transparent. What does the ghost call his mom and dad? So let's go find a different texture. I'll grab coffee. Coffee. Okay, I'm gonna pull the coffee over, drop it in, and it looks as if my black hexagonal thingies are gone. Okay, but they're actually hiding underneath the other one. I can see that if I hit the eyeball, whoosh, ow, it poked him in the eye and he can't see, so he can't see the coffee anymore, so now it's just whatever underneath, okay? Poke that in the eye, I can't see anything. And that's what these squares actually mean. They're not actually squares, they're just saying there's nothing here. So when you see that, it means see-through, okay? I can turn the coffee back on, right? I can turn the bottom back on, I can turn them both back on, but the coffee's on top of the other one. And let's see, you can adjust how opaque it is right here. If you want to see through the top layer to the bottom layer, just do that very slowly. But let's go ahead and talk about masks, since that's the other new vocabulary word for us today. If I right click it, it can say add layer mask. Or if I go to the layer menu, I can mask, add. Okay, so either way, use the menu if you like it, use right click if you like it. Initialize the last layer to white, which means fully opaque. If you do black, it'll be fully transparent. It'll look like it disappeared, okay? When there's reasons to do that. But for now, since we're getting used to it, just pick white to keep things simple. I have this white square on the side of my layer, okay? So this is confusing. I have 3 separate things I can paint on right now, okay? Let's paint on the bottom layer. I'm gonna get a paintbrush, just a simple black brush, and I'm gonna scribble. And it looks like nothing happened. That's because I've got the coffee on here. Let's hide the coffee for a second. Okay, so if you can see, it's kind of hard to see, isn't it? I should have picked a different color. As you can see, it's scribbled black on the underneath. I'll say undo, and it undid the hiding. I'll do undo again, and it looks like the scribbling's gone. Okay, so that's confusing. Well, when you're scribbling, if nothing's happening, or not scribbling, hopefully, but whatever it is you're doing, you might have a layer selected that has another layer blocking it. That could be why. So always hit the eyeball and see if you've been drawing on the one underneath. Okay, let's draw on the coffee. Okay, so I've got a pen and it drew on the coffee, and that's kind of what we expected. Kind of boring. Okay, so now let's draw on the mask. Okay, and see if you can tell me what happens when you draw on the mask. All right, so mask just means I can see through to the bottom. Okay, but you can also do whatever to the mask you want. Like for example, I can go to blur, and I can blur the mask. Which can you even see what that did? Okay, here's undo. So there's sharp and there's blurred. So it's not blurring the coffee, it's not blurring the hexagons. What it's doing is blurring the mask, okay? I can also draw over what I have in the mask. I can just go to a gradient. And gradients, as we know, my default gradient just goes from black to white, right? But if I do a gradient on the mask, back to my layers, black means see-through, white means opaque. So when I draw the gradient, it goes from see-through to opaque. So I can adjust where it's hexagons and where it's coffee, like that on the mask. Another advantage to using masks is I don't lose any coffee, I don't lose any hexagons doing this, okay? At any point, I can just drag white onto my mask and it's completely opaque again. Or I can drag black onto my mask and it's completely transparent. See how that works? So the coffee is still there, but the mask is black, which means the coffee is all see-through. So if I paint white on the hexagons, and I start to, it's like a scratch-off lottery ticket or something. I start to see what's underneath. Okay, so anyway, just make a picture out of your 2 layers and export it and upload it, and we're going to call that finished. We're going to use layers a lot in the next few lessons. Thanks for watching.